Hi everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good night, and welcome to Moneymaker's first live stream ever. It's a happy and a nervous event, and it's my birthday today, so you can wish me happy birthday in the live chat if you want. I'm streaming now from Israel, and it's 11 o'clock at night, so maybe you're watching from somewhere around the world and it's morning or afternoon.
And it's my birthday today.
So let me know, sorry about that, first time streaming. Let me know where you're from and what time it is, if you're watching with your breakfast, your lunch, or your dinner. So in this live stream, we're going to go over the market that we had last week, and we're going to go over what to expect for the next week coming ahead. So the last week was crazy. All the EV stocks went nuts. If you've been following NEO or XPEV, it's the stock ticker. The company's name is XPeng. And we had Li Auto that jumped up significantly. And we had Solo that jumped up. I'm going to be making a video probably tomorrow. It's going to come out about Solo. You should check it out. Make sure to check it out. And what else do we have? We had Tesla was pretty much non-existent. No, not non-existent, but it didn't really move. Let's take a look at Tesla. I have here, as you can see, if you know, if you're asking what are these lines here, so these are Fibonacci lines, and you would go from the prior high to the low. So you can see here that we almost hit the 161.8% line, but not just yet. And here we have the 127.2 is the resistance. So you can see here that on Friday we had a resistance here, and the stocks and Tesla stopped right on the resistance. So you see here we had these last 2 days that it really didn't move, but before that we had this huge gap up because of the news that Tesla was going to be added to the S&P 500, and this moved the stock price up from 411 all the way up to 508.61. So this was a huge move. Before I said that Tesla really didn't move, I must have forgot about this. Sorry about that. By the way, if you hear a baby crying or some kids screaming mommy mommy, so it's I'm sorry about that. And we have here NEO, one of our favorite, that you can see made a run from $1 all the way up to 54.2, and after earnings we had a little bit of dip. Earnings was last week, and now we moved up a little bit. Do we have here anybody that has do we have here anybody that has NEO? Let me know in the chat if anybody here has any NEO stock or NEO. I'm very bullish for NEO for the future. Let me know what you guys think about in the chat. Are you bullish on NEO? Are you think that it's gonna go down, that it's a bubble that's gonna pop? Let me know in the chat. So a lot of people are really high on NEO because of all the things that they have going for them. If it's the battery as a service, and there are swapping stations that they can swap the battery out in 3 minutes. If you want to get a more in-depth view about NEO, I have a few videos that I made about NEO on the channel, so you can go and check them out. Another one that we had that really moved last week was XPEV. And you can see that right around until here, when they came out with numbers, they came out with October report that they had delivered a big amount of cars. So this is what started the huge move from 20 to 56.77 and moved down a bit. It closed at 53.89. So why does this happen? So I held XPV for a while after the IPO. This is the IPO. This is why the graph is kind of short, because it's a recent IPO. This happened because it was at 17, and like smarty pants that I am, I bought in when it was around here. I think it was a 20. It went down from the IPO price, and when it hit around here, 17.11 was the low. When it hit around here, I decided to sell, and look at what I missed out on. So you can't win every time. On the flip side, I got into Ride, RIDE. Yeah. So they had a kind of reverse merger thing where they used another company and they merged with it, and the company invested with them. I think this is what happened. I'm not 100% sure about that. Don't take my word for that on that exactly what happened there. But they became from, it was called, the stock ticker was something else, and when it turned into Ride, so I got in. Was about at around here when I got in. It was around 17, I think, or maybe around here, and it went down all the way till 13. And I decided that it's too low for a stock like this that has the potential, because of the fact that they sell to fleets and not to individual people. So I made my position stronger when it hit here at 14, and now it made a nice run for us to 26.46. So sometimes you catch the stocks and sometimes you don't. So this is the life of the trader, and I have a very good video about mistakes that new investors make. You should check it out. I think all of them I've made in the past, and it's just the key is to learn from your mistakes. Don't repeat the mistakes, and if you can't help yourself and you repeat the mistakes, so don't put a big position in those kinds of adventures. Another one that was very profitable for a lot of people was Li Auto, and you see it also around when the same time that XPV, they came out, I think, together with the numbers, and it jumped all the way up, and now we're sitting at 38 and 12. So this made a nice run as well. But we can see that last but not least, Solo. I'm gonna, like I said before, I'm gonna come out with a video on Solo maybe tomorrow, I think, if I finish it. I got in with a small position to Solo on Friday. I didn't want to miss out. Yes, I know FOMO, but I just felt that this had potential to 3x, maybe even. I made a research on the company, and I decided that even though that it's making a huge jump up, there's reason for that. And check out the video tomorrow to understand why. but this has made also a crazy move. I started hearing about it when it was around here at 4, and I said to myself, I don't know, I think it's maybe a pump and dump at 4. What are, why would someone be interested in this? So I took a look, and by the time I decided that it was a good idea, so it already hit at 9. I got in actually after it fell. In the opening of the market, it fell, and I got in. So I made a nice profit. It finished at $10.81, but I was up even more when it was almost at 14. But again, this happens, and you have to be happy that you made a profit. I didn't make a profit yet because I didn't sell yet, but you have to be happy for profits and for gains, and not dwell on missing out. 1 second, please. Let's continue. So we have, let's take a look at the market. So we saw that all these EV stocks went up like crazy. This is the new cannabis. If you remember, about, I think it was 2 years ago, the whole craze was cannabis stocks. Everybody was talking about weed. It's going to be legalized, and we're going to make tons of money from weed. And the stocks, all the weed stocks, went up like crazy. And in the end, they fell. The same way they went up, so they fell. The most famous one, I think, is Tillery. TLRY is the stock ticker. It went up. I remember this because it was was a holy holiday for us. It's called Yom Kippur, and on Yom Kippur the banks don't work in Israel. So if you want to sell a stock, you can't, because the banks are closed and they won't let you trade on this day. But the US market is open. So Tillery jumped up like crazy on this day to almost 200. And I remember my father wanted to sell because we bought in, it was like at, I don't know, 30 or 40, and he was like, I need to sell, and we couldn't sell. And it ended up dropping down back to 120, I think, the next day when it opened up. So it made a huge move, probably because all the Jewish traders were at home on the holy day and not trading. So somebody was able to push it up so high. But in the end, it dropped all the way to 7, 6, 7, something like that. Crazy drop. But now the EV is the new cannabis. Hopefully, I don't see this happening because the EV market is such a huge potential, especially because of President Biden winning. He's very pro EV, and he's gonna push EV in the United States. The European Union is becoming pro EV, and they want to pass bills to make countries have mandates for EV and tax credits for EV. In China, the government came out and said that by the year 2025, they want 25% of all the new vehicles being sold to be EVs. So this is huge. And I think that in China, they sell around 3 or 4 million new cars every year. So think about it. They have 1.4 billion people in China. So I think maybe it's more. But they sell a huge amount of new cars every year in China. So just the fact that they're going to have 25% of that are going to be EVs, this is huge. Think that NIO, I think, sold like 12,000 cars in the last quarter, and the stock went up like crazy prior to that because it was an expectation that it would go up so much. So the EVs went up like crazy, and the SPY, or the S&P 500, after the election, you can see that we had this election boost, but since then it's not really moving anywhere. It's been consolidating since then, and I think what happened was people were afraid of the elections, and they started pulling out money the week or the week and a half before the elections, sitting on the sidelines. And as soon as they got word that President Biden had won, plus they came out with the COVID vaccines. So this helped it push even more. And people started buying back all the stocks that they were looking for potential, like all the airplane stocks, all the hotel stocks, all the cruise stocks. And on the flip side, all the stocks that were doing really well in COVID, like Zoom and like Shopify and Netflix, they fell on that day because people thought to themselves, okay, we're going to have a vaccine, and now people will use less Shopify, use less Netflix, and use less Zoom. So that was a funny thing to see, that one sector went up and one sector went down. And what happened this week is, I think we've seen that a lot of the small cap stocks have gone up significantly, but the big caps like the Apple and the Amazon, Microsoft have even gone down a bit, and this is what has dragged the market a little bit down. I think what happened is people that took out money here are now looking for big scores, and to make a nice profit, they're saying to themselves, okay, I took out the money and I avoided this drop, and now maybe I can get into something a little bit more risky, a smaller cap, an EV. I don't want to miss out on it, and I think people are pushing their money more into this area of the EV sector and the smaller cap stocks. Let's look what I said about the, let's see, CCL, for example. So you can see also that what happened here is we had this big jump up. This is the day that we came out with the COVID vaccine, and everything jumped up, and then what happened? People started to take profits, and it dropped. It made the stocks drop. If we look at another one, like American Airlines or Southwest, you'll see that it's almost the exact same graph. What happened is people started selling off. People that had been buying here in this area were like, okay, I made a 15%, 20% profit and tried to sell here. And what happened also, most all the brokers around the world weren't working on this day. They fell. So a lot of people missed out on this profit and started selling here, and it dropped all the way down from 19 back to 15. And then it made a nice jump back up, and this was last week when we had the consolidation that I was talking about. If we look at, let's say, Zoom, so you can see it had the exact opposite effect. This was the day that the vaccine came out, and it dropped because people had the expectation that if people will get the vaccine and will start going back to work, start going back to school, then people will less and less use Zoom. In my personal opinion, I'm kind of on the fence about Zoom specifically. I don't know how. I think people will still use Zoom. I think that people will not go to work every day. Currently, I'm working from home, and I see that in the future, I think my company and many other companies will allow people to either work full-time from home if they can, or maybe come to the office once or twice a week for face-to-face meetings. But in reality, most of the companies saw that working from home isn't that bad, and we can continue to do this. So some sectors will get hurt, like office space and things like that. But Zoom, I think people that already have been using it will continue using it, maybe in a slightly lower capacity, but they will still be using it. Something else that happened after President Biden won, this was, I think it wasn't last week, it was about the week a little bit, it wasn't last week, but I still wanted to acknowledge this. We had the cannabis that jumped up after, remember we're talking about that it dropped significantly. So we had a nice spike in the cannabis, and then for the last week also we've been consolidating. So the cannabis sector, to tell you the truth, I got a little bit of a loss, a tiny loss I took on this ACB specifically. I tried to get in on this day. I got in pretty good at a good price, I think 9 or something like that, and I should have sold at 15. But I was thinking that this was gonna blow up and maybe go back to the, sorry, one second. It was gonna go back to the highs, but it didn't. So I took a little loss around here at 7 from. I when it went down a bit, I did a cost basis and bought some more, and then when it was around here at 7, I took a small loss, about 5 or 6%, I think, and put it into solo instead. So hopefully solo will be a lot more profitable than this is currently. Take a small break. Let me know, guys, if there's any specific stocks that you would like us to go over. Let me know in the chat if anybody is watching and I'm not all by myself, maybe. Give me a 1 or a 2 in the chat to let me know that you're here, and we can continue. So what I see for next week. So next week, what should be in the news next week is about the same as what we had this week. We're gonna have the EVs. Let's pull up NEO again. NEO. So NEO, let's make we can do here the Fibonacci, and we can see that we still have room to bounce off this line here and break the 54.46 to regain the highs that we made last week before earnings. If we can't hold this line here, the 23.6, then it could start making a downtrend to the 38 to 43.34, and if it does this, because the stock is so heavily bought and everybody's on edge with it. I know there's a lot of new investors that got in maybe at around 50 or around 40, and they're kind of uptight, and they're with their finger on the trigger to sell because they're afraid that it's going to drop back to 20, back to 1, I don't know, and they'll lose their investment. So if it breaks this line, I think it could continue to go down in even back to, I don't know if 25, but 36 to 40 area. This is where it was on November 9th, about 2 weeks ago. But I think that if you look here, we have a trend going up this way. So I think we're gonna start going into this direction to 55, and I can see us even hitting 60 maybe next week. I opened before earnings. I did if you know what I sold a covered call on NEO. I saw that the premiums were really high on the options for the week after earnings, and I sold a 60 call. So I said to myself, if it gets to 60, I'll be happy, and if it goes above 60, I'll have to sell my shares, and because of the call option that I sold. But it only got to $54, and it ended up closing at $49.25. So I got all the premium from selling that option. If you want me to make a video about covered calls, I know a lot of people are interested in that. So let me know either in the chat or later when this is not live, in the comment section down below. By the way, if you're watching and you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, so please do so, and like this live stream, or later when it's a video, like the video, and ring the bell so you'll always be notified when a new video is released. And just to remind you, I'm not a financial advisor or a money manager, and anything we say in this talked about in this live stream or video is only for educational purposes, and you should always do your own due diligence and homework and decide for yourself. So just remind you. Now let's get back to the live stream. So NEO, I'm optimistic for next week. Tesla as well. I think that we can even push to maybe 550 or at least 525. I think we'll see next week, if not 550. See how it stopped on the support. This is a big indicator for me that it's gonna continue to 520. Let's see, Ride. So Ride finished off on a kind of, if we look at it from a graph point of view, it doesn't look that great. But you can see, this is interesting, see how it touched the Fibonacci on opening, and it jumped up, and then we finished here at 26.46. So a lot of people, a lot of big institutions use these Fibonacci lines to determine how they're gonna trade. They don't use it usually as places to, sorry, they do usually use it as places, as resistance and as support, to decide if they want to get into a position or out of the position. They won't get into the position as soon as it hits, but if they see that there's movement from the support or the resistance, then they might act on it. So these are lines that a lot of traders use, and a lot of big institutions use. They're traders at big institutions use. So this is a very nice tool to use. You can read up about it online, YouTube. There's a few videos about it. Maybe I'll make a video about it too. But there's a few nice videos that you can check out. Another stock that I'm happy about, and I also have a position in, is Workhorse. So if you don't know, Workhorse is also an EV company. A lot of EV for me lately. This is what's hot, this is what's in. So this is what I've been researching a lot lately and investing in as well. You should not put all your eggs in the same basket, but when you have a hot sector, so you can maybe put a little bit more in that sector, but be diversified. So don't have 90% of your portfolio in Tesla and NIO. Be more diversified and maybe have 3 or 4 companies, different companies, and maybe so you won't, if one company, for example, Workhorse, it went up all the way to $31 a while ago. And why did it fall? Because Workhorse is waiting on a US government contract from the US Postal Service to supply all the mail vehicles for the US Postal Service to be electric vehicles. And the US government, this is a big contract, it's a $6 billion contract. And the US government decided, because of the whole situation, they're going to postpone it to the decision to the end of the year. So this is what caused the falling of the stock all the way down to 15. So it went down 50%. This is a pretty big drop, 50% drop. So anybody that got in back then at $30.99 and had only Workhorse, so they might have been in from 15 and they got all the way back to 15. So in this case, they might have not lost their initial investment, but they lost all the profit. And they came out with some good guidance a while ago, that they had other orders than the contract, the government contract. So this is why the stock rebounded back up. If they get the contract, it's gonna, in my opinion, it's gonna blow up this stock. But on the flip side, if they don't get the contract and you invest too heavily now in Workhorse, so when they don't get the contract, it's going to fall, because a lot of the price growth here is on the speculation that they're going to get the US contract, the US government contract, and if they don't, then it could have the same effect as when a drug company or a drug like startup doesn't get an FDA approval, or one of their sorry about that, one of their experiments doesn't have a positive result. So sometimes you can see companies like that go up 100% and then go down 150%. Well, they can't go down 150%, but they can get down a big significant of their price. So you can only go down 100%. If you're at $100, you go down to 0. Another stock that I'm looking forward next week is DKNG. If you don't know what DKNG is, it's DraftKings. Anyone who lives in the US probably has seen the commercials for the app. It's an online gambling app for sports, and they have the ability not just to gamble on scores, but you can gamble on all kinds of things around the game. How many touchdowns, how many baskets, who's gonna score the first field goal, and so on. So why has this been such a popular stock lately? Well, first of all, if you don't know, not all the states in the US have legal online gambling for sports. This means that the app legally can't work in all of the states in the US, but more and more states have now begun to pass legislation to enable online sports betting. So around when this started coming out, more and more people started getting excited about this stock. And even it was announced that Michael Jordan was going to be investing in the stock, and that made it jump even higher, all the way to 64.19. And then they decided to do a stock offering to offer more stock. So when this happens, they want to raise more money. Why do they want to raise more money? They want to have better infrastructure for when these states pass the legislation, and they can start the app working in these states. So they'll have the infrastructure, and they'll have the servers, and they'll have everything ready, and the support when they're going to have a lot of more users. So they'll have the how to deal with it. So this first off created small downfall for the stock. Was because of this offering, and also the fact that sports wasn't really sure if sports were gonna continue to happen in the US, and if there will be fans, no fans, and it dropped all the way down to 35. And since then they had some good results here, so it's been going back up. I'm very optimistic for this stock. I think as soon as the states start passing these bills, and as soon as sports starts coming back full capacity and with fans, and people will be able to gamble at the games even while they're watching them live, I think that will be a huge upgrade for them. And as soon as they have the ability to be in all those states, so I think the stock has potential even to go up to 100 once all these things happen. It could take a little bit for us to get back to normal. Because it's a technology stock, and it's not like hotels and cruises and stuff like that. So they still operate even now, but they have a huge potential in my opinion. Sorry, my nose is itching today. Let's take a drink. Let's see. Anybody ask for something in the chat? No. Hopefully next time we'll have a lot more viewers, and I'll be a lot better at this. I'll be more savvy at it. But for the first time, and did I remind you guys that it's my birthday? So it's my birthday today. Guess how old I am? I know because I have a bald head. So sometimes people think I'm older than I am. When I was younger and I had a lot of hair, people thought that I was a lot younger than I was. I remember once I had a summer job in a pizzeria, and I was maybe 25, and people thought I was 16. And then I started losing my hair, and now people think I'm older than I am. So that's I guess in life, sometimes people think you're younger, and sometimes people think you're older. So let's get back to it. I know a lot of people are invested in the airlines because they thought that there would be a huge jump after the vaccine came out. But as we saw before, this is American Airlines. You can see that it was once at $30 before this whole COVID situation, and it got down to $8.25. If you bought here, I don't know if a lot of people bought here. The situation here was pretty grim. And then what happened here, I don't remember. Why did this jump? I think maybe there was like some positive news. I don't know. I don't remember. Maybe the Fed started pumping money. Maybe here. and you see it jumped up all the way to 20, and a lot of people were like, yay, that's it, we're gonna we're saved, we're gonna have a V shape on also the airlines, and the cruises will be fine. And then they started coming out with all this, like, we're gonna close, we're gonna put 20,000 30,000 people on furlough, and it just crushed the stock. So I don't think that it's the time yet to get into these stocks yet. I think there's a lot better potential to make money. It could be in the next 4 or 5 years that this stock gets back up to 30, but it's gonna take a long time, and there's gonna be a lot better opportunities along the way to make money and make profits, and not wait for all these stocks to start climbing up. I think maybe in next year, in 2021, maybe in May, June, when we start maybe opening things back up fully, and travel will be at full capacity. But I don't think that, I personally wouldn't want to go to a country that has still a high percentage of COVID, or doesn't have some restrictions in place. I don't feel the need that I have to travel just yet. It could be because I have small kids, and it's not the most fun experience to travel with small kids. But I don't see the reason why we would do this. So in my opinion, I wouldn't get into any cruise, hotels, and airlines just yet. I think that there's a better investments to be made in the short term, and maybe in the long term we could get into these kinds of stocks, but only if I see a move in the right direction, and I see them becoming profitable again. So that's a big thing. Sorry for all the ums. The technology QQQ, the QQQ, is done pretty good. It recovered really nice. All the big stocks: Amazon, Apple, Facebook, Microsoft. I think that's what's in the QQQ, right? Maybe one or two more. It really recovered, and since we hit the highs here, it's kind of consolidated between 260 and 303. I think the market realized that these stocks were not affected, and it pushed all the way back up. And now people are like, okay, Apple, okay, Amazon, show us what you've got. And you remember, guys, that a few weeks ago we had on the same day all the big ones: Apple and Amazon and Facebook and Google on the same night. And we saw, except from Google, that went up, even though that Amazon had amazing numbers, record-breaking sales, that because the stock had gone up so much since the downtrend of the COVID in March, that it really didn't move. And also Apple, they had a small miss on the iPhones, but they had amazing profits on everything else, and the stock price went down. So we need to make sure that, if we're invested in these big stocks, in the QQQs, the Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, these are good stocks for the future and for the long term. But for the short term, like I said in the beginning, I'm high on the EVs. Don't go too much in the EVs, but sorry. Don't go too much into the EVs, but it's I think it's for the short term and for the long term. For the short term, they will continue to be going up. Hopefully, let's see Monday morning. I'm positive tomorrow morning. But in the long term, I think they can make a big move. It might take a little while because a lot of these companies aren't at mass production except Tesla. That's amazing. They have the Gigafactory in Shanghai and they'll have one in Germany. And as soon as they have those factories up and running, they'll have factories in all the three big continents in America, North America, in Europe, and in Asia. So they'll be able to get to anywhere in the northern hemisphere pretty easily from those factories. So as soon as they get there, I think Tesla will continue to go up and up. And they have all the other things going for them. I have a video explaining all the great things that Tesla has in the future. So except for Tesla, most of them are still in the baby steps and they have been going up only on potential. This was the same way that Tesla was in the beginning. They were losing money, they weren't selling cars, and that made that they became the most shorted stock on the market because everybody was like, it doesn't make sense, they're not profitable, it's who's gonna buy this car? And people started shorting, and part of the reason that it popped so much was because it was so shorted that once they got short squeezed, all the shorts got squeezed out, and they had to sell, and it started they had to buy, not sell. When you short, you have to buy to close your position, and it pushed the stock up and up and up and up and up, and that was a crazy run. It was one of the craziest runs I've seen in my 6.5, 7 years that I've been in the market. And I'm sure that people that have been in the market for 30 and 40 years hadn't seen anything like that from a pretty large scale company from a market cap point of view. I bet a lot of small cap companies have made that kind of move, but not in a short term like Tesla. I know Amazon went from like $10 to 3,000, but it took a while. The Tesla moved from, it was 200, I think, like last year in 2019, in the March or April, something like that, and it got to 2,500. So that's 1,000%, yeah. So I'm still very bullish on Tesla. I think it's getting pretty late here, so I think we'll finish here. I'm very positive for next week. The market might not go up, but I think that the EV stocks will continue to go up. Maybe I'm wrong, this is only my opinion, but I think that it's gonna continue to go up. And we should remember, don't put too much in the EV stocks, and if you do get in with a significant amount, this is your decision. Don't get too heavy into one or two of them. Try to put into a few of them, that if one of the ones that are based on the contracts like Ride or Workhorse falls, then you'll have the other ones that don't have their price correlated to these contracts, and they won't have a fall in the stock price. So thank you for joining me for the first Moneymaker live stream. I hope the first of many more in the future. Let me know in the comment section for next time, what would you like us to go over, if there's specific stocks that you want us to cover. Maybe next time I'll ask that in advance. I don't know. We don't have an Instagram or a Facebook group up and running just yet. I haven't gotten to that, but maybe in the comment section let me know when this video goes to be a video and not live, if you're watching this later, and let me know. And if you haven't subscribed yet to the channel, you can do so by clicking the link down below. Smash the like button and ring the bell so you'll always get a notification whenever a new video drops. Thank you for watching my first live stream, and I hope to see you next time. I'm happy that you're part of the Moneymaker family. I hope that we continue to grow, and I want to build a community that has people from all over the world that help each other out and are positive and towards investing and want to make money. And like I say at the end of every video, I've been Avi, this has been Moneymaker, and let's make some money. Goodbye.